my story is not a me story. It's more of a we story. I started coaching when I was 19 years old. And well, when you start coaching, you don't think about the end game. But at about 2006, I started coaching. I was coaching track at Plainfield High School and started coaching a kid named Craig Ray. And little did I know that one of my favorite all-time athletes and I would end up crossing paths later in life. And now we're coaching together. So it's not my story. It's kind of we work together. So in most schools have a class called APC, Advanced Physical Conditioning. When we started working together in, I think 2020 or 2021, full-time in the weight room, we changed that to strength and speed, just because with the time that we have kids, it's an unrealistic expectation to condition athletes for the sports that they play. That's the coach's job. If they want us to help condition for their sport, we will do that, in a separate time slot. So in the summer, we do a lot of the sport specific conditioning for football players. But in our class, we're chasing strength and speed. So Craig is the strength component, I'm the speed, and together we're strength and speed. And so I think, and people, when they come in, they talk to us, they ask how that works, because that's a hard dynamic. When you got different two strength coaches or two coaches in general who are at the helm of a program, sometimes they can butt heads, and we don't at all. We know what we're chasing. We're chasing strength and speed. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And we don't argue about anything that matters. Our arguments are about, we were arguing at lunch about the all-time best college quarterbacks. And it has no merit on anything we do in here, or we argue about the best place to go eat. We don't argue about anything in here though. And I think that's one thing that makes us work really well. If he says, hey, I think we should try blank, I know that he thinks that because it helps us get to our end goal, right? So we're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, our kids very rarely know at the end of the workout if it didn't work, but we have a pretty good idea. Maybe it just didn't mesh well with the other stuff, or a movement got bottlenecked at a certain area because we work on supersets. Our program philosophy is kind of like we keep things consistently inconsistent. We're consistent in what we're chasing. How we go about chasing it changes from day to day, especially with our population. We have 600 plus kids. So we want to keep things fresh in here. We want kids to be excited about coming in the room. And if you're on that schedule where every single day a kid comes in and knows exactly what they're going to do, we have found that it's easy to get caught up in a kind of go through the motions autopilot mode. And by changing things up, we're still chasing the same things. We're still we're chasing the same metrics, but we just changed up the way we do it. And we're continuing to get better, but we found our niche in that area.
For sure. Can you go over more, I guess we can call it the day in the life of Avon, strength and speed classes? Because I've seen it firsthand. I know there's a lot of SHREDmill coaches that are in the high school setting and have questions about maybe the logistics behind having a SHREDmill and, coordinate it with the lifts and other things.
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We get a lot of visitors, especially when we first opened the space and we had SHREDmills, because we weren't the first. I don't know if we were the first school to have them around here, but we were certainly one of the first in Central Indiana. I know another school up north from us has some SHREDmills too. But when we first got them, a lot of people wanted to come in because they were new and there wasn't as much information out about it. There was buzz and there was like an occasional video, but there wasn't a bunch of information. So a lot of coaches wanted to come in and see them in real time. And I think it's very important for a coach who's interested in getting a SHREDmill to come see how they work, because how they work within the framework of our programming is probably different than what you do with your population, or with, if you have a smaller class setting. We have 100 kids in our class. So if you're coming in and you're saying, hey, I'm going to invest in one SHREDmill, but your class loads are 60 to 80, it is not going to serve 60 to 80 kids in a class, a normal class period. It just isn't. They're unbelievable tools. And I got this from a novel a long time ago. There's a Western called Shane, and I remember reading it. And in it, a guy says something to the effect of, a tool is no good or as bad as the person using it. Yeah. And if you can't use the tool the way it's meant to be used with everyone, it's probably not going to work in a class setting. It just isn't. And it's an expensive investment, but you want to get return on that investment. So if you're only using it with a small pool of athletes, I think that can I think that can cause some problems and maybe some envy from other programs who maybe want to be using it. You can't just get one SHREDmill and say, hey, only our best athletes are going to use it.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate enough to, when we got here from our previous school, we got 4. And then there was someone who started, they actually came in our space and liked the SHREDmill after I had kind of told them, hey, this is how this works. If you have huge class loads, you're probably not going to be able to use it the way you want. And they bought one anyway, and then they ended up selling it. So we ended up buying it for half the price that they bought it for. So now we have 5. Now we have 5. And with our class, we rock them. We know how to use them pretty fast. We don't use the tech piece. I think that piece is great, but I'm not sure I coined this. I'm pretty sure that I did, but we chase shapes, not speed. So we don't even really use the tech piece. I know a lot of people get caught up looking at the screen for miles per hour, but you know this, if you're on X or Instagram, a lot of people will post, their gear 2 number and it's 12, 12-1, but their backside mechanics are all off. And that if you run them on the ground, because you'll see they may run like a 0 to 10 pretty fast, but after 0 to 10, it starts to break down because their mechanics are so bad. So they're form deficient and they're force efficient. I mean, they're strong as can be. That's why you see a lot of your big, strong kids can really spin it. But their backside cycling motion is so bad that it breaks down on the ground if you test it. So we chase shapes, not speed. We don't really look at the miles per hour. Every now and again, I'll pop that screen on and say, hey, I want you to, in 7 steps, I want you to try to get that to 9 miles an hour. And we've got kids who can do that. But I don't want them looking at the screen anyway. I mean, I don't want their head up. When we accelerate, we're on a 40-yard dash. That's the last thing you want is, I get my position, I look where I'm going, my head goes down, and then I pop my head straight up. So we don't do that. Our kids don't even look at the screen. Chase shapes, not speed. And to me, that's like, it's such an easy cue. Our kids all know that. And the shapes are things that your kids can A, learn, and B, can coach other kids up on how to hit them without a camera.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I think that was the coolest thing about seeing your guys' class in action was, I mean, not only the graphics that you had up on the TV. Actually, I guess explain a little bit too about what you project onto that TV from like you said, chasing shapes, not speed perspective, and the visuals that you're showing.
So we depending on the day, we don't always have them up, but I have always found like the reminders are nice for our kids. Our kids, they don't remember phone numbers. I'm old. I remember like my first girlfriend's phone number. I remember those types of things. They can't remember anything. So we like to put up those cues just so they're short and sweet, but they're easy to memorize and remember. And we have like videos of our kids doing it right, and also put up videos of our kids doing it wrong, so they see both. If we could share screens and had good bandwidth here, I'd show you, because I've got a presentation on here that our kids see. But really, it's just a visual reminder for them before they go to remind them, hey, our number one thing we're trying to do here, let's get our knees as far apart as we can get them. And by the way, this is for, I know a lot of people get into gear 3 and gear 4. We really live in gear 2. I don't raise ours very much. Every now and again, just to, if we're priming for 40-yard dashes, or we're going outside to run flying 10s in like 3 or 4 weeks, I might crank it up to gear 3. But I mean, Craig and I both, acceleration's king. Track's a different beast. We leave the max V stuff up to them. We don't really hit max V in here. Number one, it takes a ton of space to do it in our field house. We got to travel, but we can measure acceleration in here 3-4 times a week, not counting after school if you want to. So really, we live in gear 2, and I think a lot of people don't realize, like, if you're getting faster at accelerating, it can help your max V. If all you're focused on is max V, it doesn't really help your acceleration. They're not the same.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I'm the exact same way too. We hammer gear 2. And I think everybody else who, is seeing great results from the SHREDmill, like you said, 90 to 95% of the time. And I thought it was very cool too, when I was there at Avon, was seeing, like you said, some of the people who have been on the SHREDmill for years now, and then some of the people who may have just started getting on the SHREDmill. And you can see that the kids, the veterans, are able to help them out maybe on the side, but then it's also, you're seeing the rep to rep improvement from these kids who have just gotten on there.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's My favorite thing before this, I mean, I love bullet belts. I don't know if you're old enough to know what a
Uh-huh.
bullet belt is, but bullet belts and hill sprinting, I love those types of things. And I think that's the other thing too. People think you get a shred mill and it's just this magic tool that you get it and you automatically get faster. You still continue to do the things that you're doing before. We still use sleds. We still run on a hill every Friday. We still do resistance band stuff. This is just another tool to add to your arsenal that just happens to help us chase what we are trying to chase. And it's a fun way to do it too. And here's the other thing too that I think is not talked about enough, and you don't see people talk about it. I've never seen someone get hurt on a treadmill ever.
No,
Never seen it happen. And you're talking about thousands of runs now. To me, that's a controlled space. You're not hitting in gear 2, you're not hitting more than probably 60% of your max V. And if you are, then we need to crank that up to, 9 or 10. And some of our kids do, they're on resistance 10. I mean, they're that strong. I mean, you got a kid who can squat 500 pounds. They're going to run through gear 8. So we're going to crank that resistance up to 10. Girls, they're mostly 6 and 7. We don't keep them in 8 because their mechanics actually, they push the belt too far back. Yeah. So 6 to 7 is a good range for them. But I've never seen somebody get hurt. And if you're somebody who's tweaked something, it's a great place to still work on mechanics in a controlled, safe space where you can't open up fully. So there's so many great things that you can talk. I mean, again, you can do all these things with other tools, but I don't have to move. The resistance band or a hill, I gotta move with it. On a treadmill, I can stand there and coach. It's great. The other negative too that coaches don't realize, it's not plug and play. You can't. If you got an assault runner or a true form, you can send kids over there and they can, hammer down and try to spin that pretty fast. But if you're coaching with shred mills, a coach has to be over there. That belt's going to move, especially with some of your inexperienced runners, and you got to be over there. I mean, you're going to get your mileage. You're not going to get a whole lot of steps, but you're going to move that belt a lot, especially with your newer kids. I found that out with a nice pair of shoes that I wore when we first got them. I burned up the treads. Looked like a truck driver. I had no treads on the top of my shoes.
100%. Sometimes it's like you get a lot of kids on there, and then if you actually accidentally get the kids that are, dragging their toe a lot on that belt, it smells like burnt rubber. It's actually not. You bring up a great point though about the nobody ever. No one. You're right though. Nobody ever talks about how nobody ever gets hurt running on a treadmill, and then obviously the return to sprinting side of things too is such a potent tool for that because it is that structured environment. You can control speeds and you can control resistances.
Well, and with kids, our kids especially, they like to run. I get it. They want to see a fast number on our smart speed. When we get the ball timing system out, we have to like shut them down. They'll run. We'll tell them you get 3 runs today. They'll try to get 5, 6, 7, 8 runs because it's immediate feedback. And I like them to get on a shred mill and then go do what you just did to move that belt on the shred mill. Let's go do it on the ground. Okay. And let's video and see if you did anything differently. Cause I want you to think in this space. I don't want you to go think when you're in your sport, when you're coming out of the blocks of track, I don't want you to think at all. Just go run. You shouldn't be thinking that. This is the lab. Let's play around with some stuff. And that I think with our kids, if they can figure this part out, and maybe you've experienced this too, sometimes when you are changing patterns or the way kids strike or the way kids run, they get slower before they get faster. And 100%. They think it should be, I don't feel well. I start taking medicine. I start feeling better in 24 hours. That doesn't work. I've never seen it work like that. I have seen kids get shapes in a day, but the shapes rarely make them faster on the ground right away because they haven't done it enough. We had a kid who was he was a 21-3, 200 kid, 10-6, 10-5-8, 10-5-8, 100 guy. And his acceleration was terrible, but his top end speed, dude, when he got moving, he could run 23 high. I mean, he could scoot, but his acceleration was terrible. So dude, all we did was hit gear 2 with him. And it's unreal. The video, before and after video, he was the first kid who was ever on a shred mill for us. He has the worst form you've ever seen. Like his hips are pushed in. He's kicking his legs back. And then fast forward like 6 months of consistency, 6 months. I mean, it's a clinic video. It's unreal. It's so good. And he got faster. And that's the payoff. Like when
Yeah.
they get faster and they see it, you don't have to say, told you so. You don't even have to say it because they see it. The proof's in the pudding.
100%. One, you're gonna have to send me. If you have that video, you gotta send it over
I
to
got
me.
it on here. If I could share, hang on, let me see if it may interrupt our
Well,
chat
because say worst
for
comes
a
to worst,
second.
we can just clip it all together once we clip all this. Yeah, if you send that to me. But
See if you can see this.
let's see. Oh, here he goes.
Can you see my screen right now?
I can still see you
Okay,
and
so watch.
started
I don't know
screen
if you
share.
do. Let's see if you can see this. Can you see that?
Pinch out. Oh yeah, his hips. Everything's falling behind that video on the left.
Okay,
Yeah.
now watch this. This is fast forward a little bit of time and watch this.
Damn, that's picture perfect right there.
Yeah, and we got a bunch. And so like this is one video, but I can go this. I mean, there's another kid right here. Okay. This is a D lineman. He plays at Minnesota. He's a defensive end at Minnesota. Look at that kickback.
Yes.
So he's actually moving that over 10 miles an hour.
With that form.
Yeah, with that form. Okay. But if you run on the ground, you might for 0 to 10 get a decent number. But after 10, they break down. So look what happens now. Fast forward just a calendar year and watch this.
Wow.
So I mean, I think number one, video evidence is helpful.
For sure.
People lie, data does not. So I think the more kids see, like it's important to video your kids.
Yes.
It just is. We like to video our own kids, so our kids are seeing familiar faces. Because me showing a video of some random guy at the NFL Combine doing it, they can't relate to that, but they can relate to the kid they see in second period. So them seeing that on the screen that you saw, it validates it too. That kid can do it. I can do it too. And by the way, we show the bad one too. Wow, look how bad that was. Look how good it is.
For sure. For sure. I like that you mentioned too the whole idea of when you change a shape or a pattern, that the speed, it may actually go down a little bit, but I always like to use the term or the phrase, 2 steps forward, or 2 steps back, maybe, or 1 step back to 2 steps forward, especially when you're changing those mechanics to, it's okay, we might be a little bit slower because we're working on something, but this will pay dividends in the long run, right? I think it should be really cool too, because you were the one who told me about the pool noodle or the piece of string on the back of the SHREDmill, and to kind of talk about common mistakes that you've seen on the SHREDmill and ways that you like to go about cueing them or fixing those mistakes.
I think that the pool noodle was we do this stuff a lot. Craig's good at it too. We just come up with a dumb idea that you maybe even have seen like your 9-year-old or your kid do, and you just get an idea and you're like, wait a minute, that looked fun. How could we incorporate that in what we do? So I stole one of my kids' pool noodles and just took the butt end of it off and put it at the back, because I was walking, he kept clipping my heels with it, and so I just was like, oh, I'll just give this a shot, and it ended up working out. He's actually come up with 2 pretty good ideas for the SHREDmill. He also came up with the truss falls that I use in here, if you've seen those online.
You send that
actually, I think the day you came in here, we maybe did truss falls where they fall forward and take 3 to 7 steps. But with kickback, the kickback was a huge issue because a kid would be initially, when we were looking at the miles per hour, a kid would be like, dude, I'm getting 10.6. That's fast. But then you get on the ground and you run anything over 10, their first 10's fine, but 11 to 20, not so good. So I needed to find a way to come up with a cue to keep them cognizant of that kickback without impeding the actual drill. So putting that back there gave them something that they felt, but it didn't stop the rep, so they could fix it during the run. Now I don't even really need it over. We don't see kickbacks except for with new kids, but maybe because they've seen so many good examples. I can't remember the last time I saw somebody up there with the kickbacks that you saw on those videos I showed you. So it was a quick fix, and it actually, I'm not saying it rid it of us. We don't see them very much anymore, but if I need to, you just pull that out. be a nice add-on. SHREDmill 2029. Tony can add that to the package. You buy this, and we're going to throw this pool noodle that costs us 17 cents to make in. It's a great tool to have.
That's perfect. That's a genius idea. Genius idea. And I know it is interesting too when I was watching your athletes run too. Again, they weren't concerned about really the number. The kids didn't, honestly, I don't even think the kids cared about their number, and I have all these videos I'm going to put together too that I took of your kids. And it's like everybody was hitting those big splits between the thighs. And it's even if, in year two, they weren't hitting these massive, 12, 13 mile per hour numbers that you see sometimes online, the positions are so much better that actually are applicable to the ground. I mean,
sure. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, and I think keeping the cues minimal, especially in the timeframes that we have. I don't talk a whole lot about shin angles. I'll draw the shin angles and talk a little bit about them once we run on the ground. I'm not as concerned about shin angles on the SHREDmill. Some of our kids get really, really like huge knee separation, and their shin angles pointed more towards the belt in front where they'd be breaking. But when they strike back, they always end up striking back in kind of that position we want. So I find knee separation is an easier thing to coach than shin angles. Sure. And they feel it on the SHREDmill specifically. The other thing that I think is worth noting is when you don't strike with the right shin angle, you slow down. It feels awkward. It's an awkward feel. You got to do it enough, but you'll feel it. And they almost like auto correct. So I don't know that I talk. Less than 2% of what I talk about is shin angles because they naturally fix the way they attack back, is what we say. Because if you attack in front, you break. If you attack back, you're moving. And that happens on the ground too. Like the kids who kind of like falter or fall over on their first step, usually they get the huge knee separation, which is great. So you want to praise that, but then they're not attacking back. And that's an easy cue. Like, how did you move the SHREDmill? You can't walk on it. You can't do that shape on the SHREDmill and move it. It won't move. We want the same exact stimulus that you had to use to move that belt on the ground. If they do that, it's fun when they figure that out too.
I was going to say that auditory, you can hear that feedback of a kid when they strike down instead of back. And I think that's almost just as effective as the visual feedback that you get.
Oh yeah. Again, I'm not going to say it coaches itself because you need a coach over there, but there's something empowering when a kid can go over there and they can tell you all the cues that you would say that you say. They can do it on their own, which is nice because that gives them it's in their hands. They know. So, and a lot of our kids now, I'm not saying they're clinic cut-ups, but our guys and girls alike are pretty darn good at it, and they want to be good at it. And here's the other thing too, and Craig can say this too. If I'm not over there, they want your feedback.
Yes.
Like they want, like if I happen to be down there, but we're timing and running SHREDmills, I'll like bounce back from like timing at the end of the turf to the SHREDmill. They will come over and say, "Hey, can you come watch me?" Like that's awesome. That's awesome that kids care that much. Like they're putting in the work, but they crave the feedback. They like it. They like fast times too, so that's helpful.
For sure. I think that kind of leads to what I wanted to talk about last. And I wrote on there when I sent you the notes was when you guys make the post of like state of the valley. And honestly, I thought what the most impressive part about coming to see your guys' operation was like the culture and the buy-in you got from not only the kids, but also I thought the support staff between you and Craig, and then talking to your football coach, and how everybody was just bought in and honestly just really enjoyed being in, and working out. For a lot of people, they hate it. It's not like it's not an inherent thing that people love to do. So the fact that you guys make it fun and it's super high energy, you got Craig talking over the mic, like kind of go over that and how maybe it wasn't always like that too, and how you guys have built that up.
I can't speak for how things were before we got here, but when we got here, our class loads were probably 50, 55, 60 per class. Now we're well over 100. And Craig says this all the time, and he's right, which he usually is. Relationships drive results. They just do. our kids, we don't look at our kids as athletes. That's why they're called human beings, not human doings. What you do is not who you are, and these kids are not going to be athletes forever. So, in the time that they are with us, and we got asked this at a clinic recently. I don't know that we talk about sports with our kids hardly at all. We ask about how events went, or we might go to an event and say, "Hey, we enjoyed watching you compete last night." But when we take attendance, we bother every single kid down the attendance line. And they'll tell you this too. Like, they love it or hate it. We will go through, he has A through M, I have N through Z, and we bother every kid in the attendance line. And we talk to them during class too. They're people first. Most of them, like you just said, they don't love lifting, but we want them to love being in our class. And so if in our class we can laugh, we can cut up a little bit and know when to turn on the serious, to us, that's a win. That's a win-win-win. We want kids to leave our class and be like, "That's an awesome class. I love taking it." And the kids who don't like us, we have three expectations in here. 3: work hard, be kind, do right. It just so happens that my favorite people do all 3 of those things. And if you're a student who doesn't do one of those things, you probably don't like me or Coach Ray at some point in the year, because if you're not being kind, we're gonna address it. If you're not working hard, we're gonna address it. If you're not doing right, we're gonna address it. But the State of the Valley Post, really, we had somebody say it's not a you're not talking about technique. No, it's not a technique. We're not like, I literally posted about this the other day. It's not a we're not, what's the word? I don't even know what the word is. I don't have TikTok. What's the name of the people? Influencer. We're not influencers. We are only trying to influence and market the Avon Oriole brand. That's it. So everything that we put on there is for our kids to maybe make them think about something that they can do outside of our walls. That's it. They're going to be in our class for a little bit. We want them to take away some things that they can actually use in their adult lives when they're done with us. And it's cool when kids come back and can remember some of the things that we said, some of the conversations that we had, or maybe some of the quote unquote wisdom or lack thereof that we tried to bestow upon them in their time with us. So it really is just, it's a culture piece. We're inculcating the Defend the Valley culture in our daily posts. That's it. If you see something cool there, we try to get a lot of kids on there, but I mean, some of them are sarcastic, but if you read our posts and you see some of our stuff, that gives people a little taste of how we are in our class. So it's pretty authentic in that regard.
100%. And because that honestly is how we've been able to build our business, is through, and people want to see all this crazy like Rocky 4 training montage footage, but I remember some of our best posts were goofy, and it's like you showcase the kids and coach's personality, and I guarantee you all those kids, when they make a State of the Valley video post, they eat it up. They probably love it.
I think the other thing too is like, we want, what's a sure way to get better? Consistently do it every day. We consistently post every single day. And that's not like, that's challenge. Like, sometimes it's the hardest part of our day, figuring out like, hey, what do we want to post today? But we do it every day. We do it in the summer. And then next year we'll come up with a different theme and see if we can come up with something. We got some ideas about what that could look like. But really all we're trying to do there is give them little nuggets that make them more attractive as human beings, not physically, but just make them people that other people are going to want to be around.
For sure. And you're definitely too, for a lot of these kids, I'm sure this is sometimes their first taste of training or strength conditioning or lifting. And the way you guys do it, I feel like really sets the kids up for success later on. And they'll probably continue to, dive more into, strength training or just fitness in general, because you've laid such a great foundation and a positive foundation of the train experience, as opposed to a negative one, doing burpees, running, punishment laps and all that other good stuff. It's the exact opposite, which is like incredible.
I think it makes it easier we're not Rocky style training, but I will say this: when you have relationships with kids, when you do go to the well and you have those like coming to Jesus moments where they're really difficult days, it makes it easier for them to knock those things out, because we've got the trust established. So when those hard days come, we were surprised. Like, it's funny, we just said that, like, the other day we did a really kind of pretty hard workout, and we got done with the workout, and Craig and I both go, "Man, our kids are tough." They're tough. And I mean, they did some really hard things, and they walked away with their chins up and chests up. So relationships drive results. That's the big one.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. All right. One last thing, I guess. Do you have a favorite SHREDmill performance circuit, exercise, or even a SHREDmill story that comes to your mind, especially over your years of having, multiple SHREDmills?
Exercises. So, as far as like circuits, because you've seen how we do things in here. I mean, there's tons of things I like to pair with gear too. There's tons. I like heavy dumbbell step ups. I like front foot elevated split squats. There's a ton of stuff there. So and we're not doing anything extraordinary there. I think a lot of people are doing those same things. I really, really, really like single leg mule kickbacks, where you have a kid who's maybe striking out in front, where they're kind of hitting the brakes in acceleration phase, where they've got that good forward lean. Their right foot's maybe you're in the same shape, but they're just attacking back. You're focusing on just one foot and what it takes to move that belt. I really like those. Number one, they're high intensity, but they're not crazy physically demanding. So even kids who maybe are a little bit sore or banged up, or maybe coming back from like a soft tissue injury, they can still do those types of things and feel like, hey, I'm not getting behind. I'm still in it. I'm still getting better. And it's a low risk, high reward type drill. Also been playing around with I don't know if I heard about it or if I've never seen anybody do it, but we started doing basically like we call them walkabouts, just kids with their heels on the, heels on the back end of the SHREDmill, hips up.
I saw that. You posted them yesterday, right?
Yeah. Dude. We're all about like finding different ways to bulletproof hamstrings. If you've never done them, dude, get ready. They're crazy. I had it yesterday. That's a soccer kid that I had to do it yesterday, and I had it at 6. And today I cranked it up for some strong kids to 8. And
yeah, I can imagine that. It's such a different resistance feel. I remember down at XP during the combine, they had the combine guys doing some of those. They were just calling SHREDmill hamstring curls or whatever. But the exact same exercise. So I tried them, and yeah, they were gnarly.
So yeah, and again, it goes back to like consistently inconsistent. We have hamstring rollers, we have glute ham extensions, we do all kinds of different things with the hamstring. But anytime we can offset that with new stuff, new stimulus, you're still trying to attack the same stuff, just in a different way.
100%. Kids, and you can attest this. They love the controlled chaos. They don't want it. The more you can vary things and mix things up, I feel like the better.
Oh yeah, and the learning curve's not too crazy either. It's pretty easy to learn how to do it. But I'll come up with something, dude. I get bored. We're gonna keep on trying new stuff. Who knows? Maybe we'll come up with like a backpedaling drill or some type of power shuffle. Who knows? Crossover step. I don't know. I haven't tried that stuff yet, but when we get some time, maybe I'll play around with some new ones and get some new drills.
You got it. Yeah. I feel like you and Craig, you guys are some mad scientists. I love it.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. This has been awesome.